Did you know that April O'Neil from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has transformed into many different mutants? For those who may not be familiar with the TMNT universe, April O'Neil is a supporting character in the series, serving as a trusted ally and close friend to the Turtles. Over the years, April has undergone several mutations, gaining a range of abilities and characteristics that have helped her join the Turtles in their fight against evil. In this video, we'll be taking a look back at each time April mutated in the TMNT franchise, starting with the 1987 series and continuing through to the 2003 TV series. What up, Geektron here, and if you love the Turtles and 90s and early 2000 related, consider subscribing.
Something happened to me.
Oh my gosh. It's turned you into a cat.
Yes.
The Catwoman in the 1987 Ninja Turtle series, the episode called The Catwoman from Channel 6. In this episode, April ends up spotting Bebop at Rocksteady and decides to follow them into a warehouse. She finds the transporter and takes pictures, only for a stray cat to accidentally activate it before leaping onto the platform with her. A dazed April is left on the matter transporter, feeling woozy and horrified at the fact her nails now resemble as claws. Later in her office at the Channel 6 building, April's physical and mental condition has deteriorated further. She has claws, cat-like eyes, a slightly deformed face, hisses and often punctuates her speech with cat-like vocalizations. April's goal is to get back to the warehouse and reverse the transformation, but Shredder and his mutants quickly cage her and put a mind control collar on her. Shredder commands her to hunt down Splinter, which she does after freeing a tiger from the zoo. After narrowly avoiding the tiger, the Turtles find April's photos. Splinter is meditating when April and the tiger appear in the lair, and despite his terror, Splinter manages to reach April through her brainwashing. The Turtles force her to recognize them, but the collar begins controlling her until Leonardo slashes the collar off. Michelangelo manages to entrap and cage the tiger with a toy. Because the effects of matter transporter were only temporary, April soon becomes human again.
A gorgeous job, if I do say so myself.
Are you kidding?
The Fish Woman in the 1990, the episode called Rebel Without a Fin. April is covering the opening of a new Donald J. Lofty condo building when she spots a green face peeking out of the sewer, but much to her shock, it turns out to not be the Turtles. She follows the Fishman and ends up kidnapped by him. The Turtles follow, with no idea of the explosive charges that Ray is leaving behind. Ray deposits April at Dr. Polidorius' lab, and Polidorius decides to turn her into another fish mutant who is to be Ray's mate. As the Turtles search for April, they stumble across Ray, but he turns out to be a formidable opponent with electric eel powers, scorpionfish spines, squid ink, a prehensile octopus tail, and considerable strength. They chase him down into the water, where they are unable to keep up. Polidorius has to do some repairs to the evolution accelerator, which gives April a brief moment to try to contact the Turtles with a two-way radio. Donatello gets the signal on his Turtlecom, and they rush to get to Polidorius' lab. Unfortunately, Ray electrocutes them and Polidorius traps them in an energy cage, and they can only watch as April is mutated into a fish person. When she emerges, she's green, webbed and covered in scales. Raphael manages to release them from their cage, and Polidorius manages to escape from the lab. They discern that the explosives are going to be set off at noon and race through the sewers to disarm as many of the bombs as they can. The only remaining bomb is under the lofty condos, which sink under the ground as the entire street floods. April now has sonar powers, which allows her to detect the location of Polidorius and Ray. She accidentally floods Polidorius' lab at the same time, and she and the Turtles rescue Lofty and Vernon from drowning. They drag Polidorius along and force him to turn April back to normal.
I must help my friends, not attack them.
The Wasp in 1993, the episode called Revenge of the Fly. In this episode, Baxter Stockman successfully escapes from Shredder and the Krang and plug in his computer to the Technodrome. This allows the computer to take over the Technodrome. Since Baxter now wants revenge on the entire world, the computer decides that they'll steal the insectile genetic sample and some mutagen. April O'Neil informs them that she's trapped on a burning building. Baxter just happens to turn up right afterwards, stealing the samples and a super slusher. In order to mutate humans into insects, he turns some firefighters into giant termites, carnival goers into mantises, and others into scorpions. The computer urges him to go to Channel 6 in order to entrap the Turtles, even though the confused Baxter isn't sure why he even wants revenge on them. The walls are covered in honeycomb, and April's coworkers have been mutated, Burn Thompson is a bee, Irma is a moth, Vernon is a spider, and April is soon mutated into a wasp. Baxter flees from the turtles and accidentally runs into a web Vernon spun outside the station at the suggestion of Donatello and Raphael. With Baxter in their hands, they decide that the only way to restore all these mutated people is the retro mutagen ray and head for the amphibious module. The turtles arrive at the Technodrome with Baxter, but since the computer is still controlling the Technodrome, they're greeted by armed foot soldiers and vicious robots. Donatello successfully destroys the computer just as Shredder, Krang, Rocksteady, and Bebop all escape. Unfortunately, Shredder has the retro mutagen ray and is determined to use it on the turtles, which would reduce them to just plain turtles. But Baxter grabs the ray and flies off to the dimensional limbo with the turtles in hot pursuit. They manage to wrest the gun from him and escape from the Technodrome. Leonardo returns the insect mutants to their normal human forms and destroys the retro mutagen ray. None of the Channel 6 people remember much about it, but Vernon is suddenly hungry for flies. In 1994, Archie Comics released a special called The Fifth Turtle. This comic, we saw April investigating a company which she ended up getting caught, which lead her get mutagen on her, causing her to mutate into a turtle. It was pretty shocking to April as a Ninja Turtle. She was rocking the white headband with the letter on her belt, and the weapon of choice was the katana. In 2008, Back to the Sewer, episode called The Engagement Ring, Raph and Casey go to Chinatown to buy an engagement ring for April. A mysterious man called Mr. Sun gives them the ring. Han and Purple Dragon steal another ring, but reveal they've been duped. Meanwhile, Casey gives April the ring and April starts acting weird. She suddenly turns into a demon. Casey discovers this is the ring's fault. April becomes very weak and asks Casey what's happening to her. Casey says it's the ring and orders her take it off, but soon April is unable to take the ring off. Han and the Purple Dragons appear and attack. Raph arrives to save April and Casey. However, Han's lackeys are confused as Han claims to have finished off the turtles. Raph and Casey are defeated and Han and Purple Dragons escape with April as a hostage. Mr. Sun appears and tells Raph and Casey that ring is the ring of Yin, what turns someone into demon while wearing it. The only way to save April from the ring is by taking it off, but only the person who dressed it to her finger can do so. This is Casey. While Han and Purple Dragons menace April, the ring strikes again and turns April into a giant flying demon. Leo, Don, and Mikey arrive to help Raph, Casey, and Mr. Sun in saving April. Casey jumps into April to take off the ring. Han and Purple Dragons arrive to steal the ring. The battle starts when Han and Purple Dragons are defeated. Casey takes off the ring and April returns to normal. Casey catches the ring. April and Casey fall into their doom and hug before their death, but the turtles save them. In the end, Mr. Sun gives April a regular ring, minus the evil. April and Casey mention they soon get married. So what is your favorite April O'Neil transformation? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more video just like this one.